everyone and welcome back to my channel. And if you like to draw, all that you need is a nice black pen. It's a gel pen or another different gel pen or an ink pen or just any pen that is black, and you can create some amazing doodles. So I spent a lot of time thinking which is the next easiest thing that you can draw. And after spending quite a bit of amount of time trying to search for that perfect picture, perfect flower, I thought of a flower. When I googled a flower, I found so many different kinds of flowers, and eventually I settled on this frangipani. This guy. He's simple, he's neat, he's clean. He has a yellow center, white petals with a yellow center. It doesn't have a prominent center, which is good, which means you have one less element to draw. And most of all, it's easy. You have to draw the intertwined petals. The petals are intertwined, they overlap each other, and then you have yellow and then you have white, and that's all it is: petals, yellow and white. Okay, so today we're going to be doing basically 3 kinds of flowers. One will be as organic and close to the original flower. The second one is going to be an abstract, which means it's going to be as abstract as possible as a flower can get. And the third one is gonna be a geometric version, probably very similar to drawing a mandala with grid lines and everything. Okay, so make your pick and follow. Okay, I will leave the timeline as to which of the 3 I have done at what time, so you can jump to whichever flower you prefer. Okay, until then, let's get into the video and move forward with doodling. Grab your black pen and follow with me if you can. So starting out today, I'm going to be using one sheet from my art book, one of my bazillion black pens, because I have too many of them and I decide which one to use based on my mood, and followed by a little bit of my watercolor pencils to create a beautiful watercolor effect. No, I'm kidding. I'm not very good at it, but I try. And followed by a little bit of Tempra paints, because these are really inexpensive paints and are beautiful for a beginner, and I just love the color. They come with a brush of their own, but I'm just going to be using my own brushes today. Okay? So to start out, like always, I'm going to take a sheet from my drawing book and cut out 4 squares and use 3. Yes, I know the 4th one is extra, but I'm hoping to use them in the future. Anyway, moving into the first one, which is my favorite. It's simple, it's neat, it's the organic one, and it took the least amount of effort. So to start out, I started by picking out the center point of the paper and drew out 5 spikes outwards to show me the approximate layout of the petals. Taking quick reference of the image, if you notice the flower, it has this beautiful overlapping effect, and because they are overlapped in the perfect spiral, I just decided to draw these hook-shaped curves that look a lot like the spiral in the petal. I was quick to realize that I had left out the pointy edges of the flower, and I had to rework them all over again. And it's okay to rework the outline a few times, it just makes it better. Moving on, I took my gel pen and quickly drew a line on the outside just to give it a little dose of black, like a normal doodle, leaving out the lines in the center and just going neatly over the edging. Even though you decide to erase out all your pencil marks, there will always be embossed lines on your paper, but that's not a problem because it's gonna get covered by paint, so eventually nobody's gonna see it. Moving on, I decided to randomly, most decisions in doodles are random, and like every random decision, I decided to put a green paint to create a background effect to the flower, which was the best decision I took. Then moving on, I had to fill in the center of the flower. I started out with 3 colors, one white, one yellow, and one darker yellow. I think it's called ochre. I think it's called ochre. Anyway, using the ochre, I decided to create these shadows in the outline that typically run in the flower. You will notice the inner edge is a little darker than the outer edges, and that's normal. That's called a shadow. So using the darker pencil, I created some shadow lines, filled in the center point, which is probably darker because it's a little more on the inside, and sketching out with the lighter yellow, I did the yellow filling to the center, and I quickly ran over with the white pencil just so that when I decide to paint it with water to give it the watercolor effect, it finally doesn't spread too much on the paper along with the water to create a very runny effect. You know what I mean? I didn't want to spread the paint all over the white. Yeah, I know some people will argue that this is not doodling, but this is doodling. What is doodling? Doodling is random scribbles. And that's what I'm doing. I'm randomly scribbling. You have to wait till the paint gets fully dry before you start the next step. In the next step, I take out a green sketch pen and a green fine liner, sometimes called a graphics pen because it's very popular for doodlers. And with the sketch pen, I started out by emphasizing the outline of the flower. The outer line which I ran the black gel pen on. I just thought it would create a sort of a shadowish effect to emphasize the flower. After that, I decided to create a spiral doodle effect in the background. And I drew out some spikes and I filled them up with some random scribbles because that is the doodling part, the real doodling part, the real fun part, the part I love the most. Overall, I fell in love with the end effect and I think it's pretty good. The next one is an abstract flower. This is definitely the least favorite of mine. It took the least amount of time, and it definitely will take the least amount of your time to watch. But I don't know how, I really don't know what was I trying to do when I started painting the petals with a flat brush. Yes, I know, flat brush. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I thought I was being a genius. You know how acrylic just loves to spread? Well, I forgot this is tempera paints and it doesn't spread. But of course, moving on, I had to fix it, so I started to draw an outward spiral effect on the outer edges of the petals. Pretty neat, huh? I thought I was being really smart. I still didn't like it yet, but you know, I think it was going somewhere. And then this flower comes with some very prominent green leaves, which are kind of nice actually. If you look at the plant, I think the leaves are more beautiful than the flower. Actually, they're both beautiful. Anyhow, I just decided to dip my brush in paint and dab it to create a very abstract version of the leaf. I also went over it with a gel pen, which is coming up in a bit. But yes, definitely, I think the end result of this flower was pretty awesome. I also used an old calligraphy pen to run over the edging of my beautiful flower, because that calligraphy pen, well, its sharp pointy tip decided to flatten out like a brush pen. Yeah, but I love the pigment of this pen. I have to say it's actually pretty nice and black. Okay, moving on. So this nice pink, well, it's not pink, it's actually yellow. The background's pink. But this nice pink doodle was a result of me being absolutely unplanned. I know in the beginning I said that it's going to look like a mandala, and I did proceed with the doodling like a mandala, but well, fate had other plans. I think I was a little in a confused state of mind by the time I reached this doodle. It's the last one I created. But anyhow, after using a protractor to get the perfect petal sizes, the perfect symmetry for my petal sizes, I ran over the rest of the drawing pretty much freehand, and there is nothing perfectly symmetric about this drawing. But I want to believe that it's got some level of symmetry, so okay, it's sort of a mandala, sort of a not so symmetric mandala. So like I proceeded with this particular one like I do all my mandalas. I started with a spiral design. First, of course, I went on to create a nice outline, a nice spiral outline, and then did a quick touch up of the outline with a nice black pen. Yep, the same calligraphy pen from the one before. Thanks to its nice brush nib, which is now, the calligraphy nib, which now is a brush nib. After doing this, I felt a bit lost, and then I was like, okay, but I have to do something. I have to finish it. So I started out by painting the center, by giving the flower its most prominent feature, the yellow center. And then I decided to mute out the yellow with a little white tempera paint, because I love the effect of, if you apply a little bit of tempera paint over your watercolor pencils or even your brush pen, I think it gives this really beautiful muted effect to the paint. It's almost as good as blending. It's actually blending, but it gives this really nice chalky white muted texture. Moving on, I gave the outline a nice yellow, a bright yellow outline, because at this point I really wasn't I really had no idea what I was doing. But I thought, I had yellow at hand, yellow was open, and I just started putting yellow. And eventually, I just thought I need to add another color, so I went with the pink, because I've been crushing on this pink for such a long time. Especially since my last Valentine's craft projects, I think this pink has been really on my mind. Such a pretty color. Totally love it. It's almost fluorescent, but not really fluorescent. So, after quickly filling in the pink, I moved on to creating the patterns to the spiral of the mandala. I was honestly confused. I still wasn't convinced this is gonna turn out right. And I was still debating in my head if I should start the project all over again. But everything turned out for the best, and I think I took it slow. I filled in one petal, and little by little, step by step, I filled in all the rest of the petals, and not so bad, right? I mean, people who love doodles just love the black outline. Maybe I can be a little more forgiving of how not so perfect I am. Yeah, I'm still learning. I definitely think I have space to improve. And if you're starting out doodling too, believe me, you have a lot of space to improve. And practice makes things better. I'm sure eventually you will get there to creating beautiful doodles. If you haven't started yet, you totally should. So I wasn't very keen on leaving a big white space, and this last minute decision, I think, brought the whole drawing together. I took out my green pen, yes, the same green pen I used in my first drawing, and I really thought I was going to draw a better pattern, but the pink was giving me off a retro vibe. So with the retro feel in mind, I decided to start drawing some nice bold green lines. I really wanted to make them straight, but something told me to keep it at the same curve of the outer petal because, well, I don't know. I just felt like it. Thank you for watching my beautiful doodles. Let me know which of the three do you like in the comments below. So if you watched all my 3 amazing doodles and you have a favorite, let me know in the comments below. And if you recreate it, do share it on a DM on Instagram. I'd be happy to share it in my stories and give you a shout out. And also, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Share the doodles with someone who likes to draw. I started drawing to manage my anxiety, and you should too. Okay? Doodling is a great way to release the pressure in your head. Anyway, bye. I'll see you again next time. Ciao.